First off, what are the facts as we know them?
Okay, so two different investigations. One that involved the Trailblazers head coach, Chauncey Billups, was about illegal poker and organized crime. Basically, they'd set up these poker parties in Manhattan. They were using modified card shuffling machines and
they were cheating.
And cameras in the desks and things like that. They were bilking unsuspecting gamblers out of millions and millions of dollars. And they say that the head coach, as well as Terry Rozier, and Damon Jones, who was a former Cavs player, were there to lend an air of legitimacy to these poker games and lure them in. Who doesn't want to sit next to the head coach for the Trailblazers?
Do we know, and all these are, I want to be very clear, all these are allegations. Everybody here may be found innocent. That's a critical part of the story. Do we know at all if Billups was aware of his role in sort of bringing in marks, if you will?
Prosecutors say that he was in on it, that he was part of the scheme to lure people in and to lend this an air of legitimacy. He will be in federal court in Oregon this afternoon. The second investigation is about throwing basically NBA games and then profiting on inside information. They point specifically to Terry Rozier when he was with the Hornets in 2023 in March, playing a game, telling people he was going to have an injury, and they go out and they bet about $200,000 on the unders for Rozier. They profit tens of thousands of dollars on those player props. They go back to he played 9 minutes of the game. They go to Rozier's house. They split up the proceeds. And bada bing, bada boom.
So for a lot of our viewers and listeners that are not sort of sports gamers, what Contessa's talking about, and if I'm wrong, tell me, Alex, jump in. You can bet on individual player stats. This player is going to score either under 14.5 points or more than. You don't just bet on sports outcomes. You can bet on player outcomes. And so if a player is betting on him or herself and then takes him or herself out of a game before they reach said point, they're effectively, as I think prosecutors, Alex, called this, insider trading the NBA.
They call it the insider trading saga for the NBA. What is Cash Patel's?
And look, the leagues and the betting companies themselves for years have defended legalized sports gaming, broadly speaking, primarily by saying it facilitates the openness of regulators being able to identify potential scandals in a way that didn't exist when this was all black market. So if you look at it from that lens, you can say, okay, well, the betting platforms were able to provide information of unusual betting patterns around these particular prop bets. Because what happened here was there was a surge of betting on the under for Terry Rozier in that particular game, and then Terry Rozier pulled himself out of the game early, and so the under paid off. And so people were able to connect the dots here and say, wait a second, this is unusual.
They connected the dots because the legal sports books and the integrity monitoring technology, they all work together to alert authorities. This is part of the same conspiracy that got Jonte Porter when he was in Toronto for betting on himself.
Because the FanDuels and the DraftKings and all the other ones in the world, they're already putting out statements like the integrity of the game. They're going to do one of these back off because and I'm going to use a CNBC analogy. Again, if I'm wrong, jump in. This would be the equivalent of a Robinhood or a Schwab or a TD Ameritrade saying, yo, people are going to do bad things in the stock market, but and we're going to help find them. We're not enabling them. We're going to actually help fix them.
But to be clear, the legal gambling industry has their biggest competitor is the illegal gambling industry. They put the sports betting offshore unlicensed gambling at more than $600 million. And so they have a vested interest in trying to get everybody to come on the platform. So why you're using, if you're a professional athlete and you're using a legal platform to gamble on yourself, it raises more questions.
Well, we're not talking astrophysics here. Go ahead.
Yeah, look, I mean, the counter argument to this is that the proliferation of legalized sports betting potentially elevates the likelihood of something like this happens. That would be the argument to say something needs to be changed here. And maybe what needs to be changed is things like prop betting on individualized players.
Does it go? Okay, I tweeted out. Does it go away? Should prop betting on players go away? Or is it not?
That's what they're worried about. Why? Because the player props are what go into the parlays. The parlays are the most profitable product that the sports books have.
So they'll never go away. Too much money.
But the regulators are in charge of that, and it goes state by state. There are some states that are very fierce on regulation. They don't let you bet on college sports if that college is in your state. So
but there's a lot of let's back it up for a second, because a lot of our viewers may not be in states where they can legally gamble. So we're using terms that people maybe know, but they don't, whatever. So let's just make it a totally legitimate situation, right? I'm a professional athlete, insert joke here, but I'm a professional athlete and I have a cold. I don't feel good. And I tell some of my buddies, I'm really sick. I don't have any ill intent whatsoever. I'm just telling my friends I don't feel good. They go out and put a bunch of bets on me against me as a player the next day. I have no idea they're doing that. They just happen to know that I innocently said I had a cold. This is the kind of stuff we're going to have, the industry, Alex, is going to have to deal with.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's the argument. The NCAA commissioner, Charlie Baker, wants to eliminate prop betting. He's said it publicly. So,
and again, the sports books, some of them do not offer player props in college sports for this very reason. They think that college...
Not yet.
They think, no.
College sports is now pro sports, Contessa. You know that. It's money. It's the same thing as pro.
Okay.
Well, but look, college athletes were just allowed to start betting on professional sports. That just happened.
Yes.
That announcement. So,
and they're getting paid millions of dollars now.
In today's CNBC Sport newsletter, I wrote about how the media companies themselves almost have to get into bed with the betting companies, or at least have a closer relationship with them from a partnership standpoint, because they're trying to develop alternative revenue streams to pay for the ever-increasing cost of the media rights to carry NBA basketball or NFL football. And these partnerships allow them a new revenue stream to tack onto the advertising and the subscription revenue they had. So we've seen that come together.
Yeah.
Okay. In the indictment itself, switching a little bit of gears here, this is really random but interesting, I suppose. They list the number of unknown player 1, player 2, player 3. It looks like from your reporting, Alex, that player 3, and I want to be very clear, nobody's implying or implicating these players in anything except they're mentioned as playing in games where this allegedly may have occurred. They're not involved in this other than being in the game. But player 3 was likely LeBron James?
I think without a doubt. Nobody else fits what player 3 is. And so just to explain what player 3...
And again, nobody's implying they're involved in this in any way other than being in the game, but it's a bold...
Or not in the game.
Or not in the game, but it's a bold-faced name.
Right. It's a bold-faced name. The connection is to Damon Jones, who has a long-term relationship with LeBron James. If you look at the indictment, it says player 3 is a prominent Lakers player who had known Damon James for a while, who was out on this particular game in February of 2023 with an injury. LeBron James was the only player out with a lower body injury on that day. And the implication is that Jones got this information that LeBron was not going to play and then, in essence, sold the information to bettors. And that was how this kind of
unbeknownst to LeBron James.
Unbeknownst to LeBron.
And we reached out to LeBron. Out to his office. No
comment officially from his people, but a person familiar with LeBron's thinking said he didn't know anything about this. Yes, he was friends with Damon Jones, but he had no idea that he was selling this information.
But again, the legal sports books monitor for suspicious activity. And when they see an unusually large amount of wagers coming in on an under for a player who then goes out, then they go back and they look, where are they coming from? What?
Because they can track locations too, right?
Absolutely. That all exists. And then the legal sports books are working with the authorities to crack down on this. But what's happening is if you've got illegal offshore unlicensed sports books that are doing $600 billion of business, it's massive. It's a massive, massive industry. Are you then encouraging people to go offshore to do their dirty business because they're going to go undetected? This is one reason why the legal sports industry is saying, and the sports books are saying, we have got to have more enforcement.
Yeah, that's why I said it a few minutes ago. It's not astrophysics. I mean, here it's like if you're going to don't insider trade, but like it's like people get caught insider trading because they put these huge, outsized buys or sells on.
Yeah.
It's very easy, folks, especially with AI. The FanDuels of the world, they can track behavior better than you.
One more business impact here, and I don't want the poker thing to get lost in this, because when you have poker games, in bed with organized crime, which is the allegation that U.S. prosecutors have come up with. It also harms commercial casinos that run poker tournaments. They are trying to move beyond the old
back rooms, cigar chomping, kneecapping.
Al Capone. And that's exactly, I mean, the days when Al Capone was running Vegas are days that the guys who are worried about how am I going to report my profit margins on the quarterly earnings call, they're trying to distance themselves. And if you're trying to get into Texas, Las Vegas Sands has spent years and tens of millions of dollars trying to get Texas to legalize casinos. A poker scandal like this does not help.
Final word, Alex?
Just to your earlier point, like this, it wasn't as if this was some sort of ingenious scheme.
No, it was not.
So it was a very straightforward,
very easy,
we're going to bet
very
you the
easy
under,
to catch,
throw a bunch of money on, very easy to catch, very easy to execute. And so, I think at least the silver lining here might be like, don't do that for anybody involved. You're going to get caught.
Okay, don't do that is a good thank you. One to grow on. But if the NBA had three things at the top of the list to not happen at the beginning of the season. Last night you had Victor Wembanyama come out as one of the stars or the star of the league now, 7'5" stud, just had an unbelievable game. Now you got this headline, NBA. NBA had nothing to do with it, but the NBA's name is splashed all over it. This is just awful time.
Yeah, we should mention Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups were both indefinitely pulled away from their team.
He's the coach of the Trailblazers. And a Hall of Famer.
And Andre Iguodala came out with the Players Association and said, we also have to give the benefit of due process to our players, innocent until proven guilty.
And if you read the indictment, I think one of the things that stuck out to me was Terry Rozier has two nicknames. One of them is Scary Terry.
I knew that one.
And the other one is Chum.
Did not know that one.
So it's like you're covering both.
There's a lot of nicknames.
There's a lot of nicknames.
A lot of nicknames,
You're covering both sides, though. Chum, which is a nice guy. Scary Terry, which is not so nice. Anyway, a little bit of lighthearted look at a very serious, troubling story. Contessa, Alex, thank you very much.